Something that Bettina, my ex, Liz, my wife, and myself all have in common is that we are often greeted by silence or perceived indifference. An example would be in a seminar where I would say something, Bettina would say something, other students wouldn't respond. Another example would be you're at a talk with somebody and people don't say anything, so you say something, and it's more difficult for me because I'm a man and I try to leave space for women to talk. Then nobody else asks any questions or anything, so you ask another question, and so on. You get other things as well, like sort of you might ask to do something, and then you sort of get silence from it, and you don't know what to make of that silence. Now, Albus Dumbledore once said that indifference and neglect often do more harm than outright hostility, rather. Obviously, that's a quote from J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, anyway. But anyway, it's often the worst thing you can do is not to respond to things, is to ignore something. I did a wiki once, a homemade wiki, which was supposed to have lots of homemade resources on it, and people didn't contribute. Because it was a wiki, I then deleted it. But the thing is this, at the beginning of the wiki, I put a quote, that quote from Marianne Wilson, which is often erroneously attributed to Nelson Mandela, about who are you not to shine? You need to give people permission to shine themselves. And so I expected, because people are very keen on that quote, that they would contribute, but they didn't. So I deleted the wiki because it needs to be a collaborative effort. Now, you have to bear in mind that when you don't respond to something, when you have a long silence, things are going to start filling that in. I used to know a deaf person who became paranoid, and the reason she became paranoid, and apparently this is quite common, is that she had to fill in her own interpretation of the silence that she heard from people. And that's what happens when you get silence. You also don't get negative feedback, and if you don't get negative feedback, you're never going to improve. So in a way, if you're getting silence from somebody, they have judged you as being incapable of doing any better than the rubbish that you're offering them. And that is not okay either, because you've written them off. Even if you hate them, you've written them off. And you can't write people off. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that you need to be proactive. It's not okay just to take that Marianne Wilson quote about shining and just use it as a warm, fuzzy feeling. And then just sort of discard it and not actually do something about it. You've got to act on it. Now, I'm not talking about people who haven't got the time to do this and so forth, or people who are, for one reason or another, incapable of doing it because, for example, of illness or attention to children and so forth. All of that is fine. What I'm talking about is situations where you've got a level playing field, where, for example, in the talk or the seminar, you don't have other people contributing. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a subscriber drive, but obviously one of the ways in which you could contribute or you could respond to this is by commenting below, by sharing this video, or by subscribing. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to judge and to give me feedback. Now, there are some people who give me really good feedback on this. Some of the best feedback is the negative stuff, because the negative stuff helps me to improve. Now, this is not actually about this video or this channel or YouTube or anything like that. This is actually about the fact that indifference is the opposite of love and hatred. Hatred is akin to love, and the worst thing you can do to someone is to ignore them, because then you feed their paranoia and you're being hostile. It's like sending someone to Coventry or giving someone the silent treatment. It's almost a form of bullying. Now, you may not intend to do that, but when you don't respond, when you don't say something, anywhere, not on YouTube, just anywhere, in a way you're bullying people. You are allowing that to happen. And it's worse than hatred. So you need to respond. Not to this, just generally. Okay, I'm sorry it was a bit of a rant, but I think it needs to be said, and it was worse than the other one which I deleted. It was a hell of a lot worse. And I'll talk about the intro later.